Yeah. Go ahead and play the video.
Step in.
Recording in progress.
And begin. Been quiet too long. Chewed up tongue. Turn down songs. Clock keeps ticking on the wall. But your name's still missing from the roll call. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. Got a light, buddy?
Yeah, sure, kid. There you go.
And your wallet.
Nick, give him your wallet.
If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you. Yeah. You got a truth tucked deep in your chest. Heartbeat tapping out, say it, confess. Crowd might stare, let them do what they do. They never held a fire living in you. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you. Yeah. Speak up, name your dream out loud. Stand up, you're the leader of this crowd. One spark, one shout, watch the silence melt. That power in your mouth is the truest thing you felt. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Let your voice be heard. Yes, I'm loving that. I'm loving that. Hey, James, it's our favorite song.
You couldn't see me bopping.
Me either, man. But again, my name is Cloyd Holmes, and I am the CEO and visionary of Man Up Ministry Inc. Also, the host of Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. Wow, we are again. Everybody knows you, James. Everybody knows you're a family. You're part of the family, brother. Everybody knows you, man. You're awesome. We have the pleasure and blessing of having Mr. Brother Eade, Brother James Eade, with us again tonight to continue in his awesome, encouraging uh, story that he is touching so many souls with today, man. We have a huge, overwhelming response, James, because you cover so many different aspects of different things in life, and you're very transparent, and that in itself is something to be admired. A lot of people don't want to tell their story, and it at least not the not the shady part of it. Everybody likes to hear a good story, but you have a really good story, and there's some things that you have overcame, some things that almost took you down and almost took you out through the grace of God. You are here with us to share and encourage and help someone else. And we are honored and blessed to have you to share your story and to get that message out on none other than Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. Uh, we are loving you, James. Um, just to give you guys an overview, a little bit about James. Most of you know James. Most of you been here for this for his entire segment. What is this? Number 6, number 7? We lose the count. It's a story just keeps getting better and better and better. Well, James, we got to get you back. Well, James, we need you back. Well, James, we got to come back. Yes. So we are loving it. We're loving it. James is a chess master. Um, a lot of you know James, and you don't know that you know James, but I'm going to let you know who he is, and you will know exactly who James is. James, I'm sure most of us have understand that or have saw the book Chess for Dummies. I never played chess a day in my life, and book in itself, that book in itself, I've seen it 1,000 times. Picked it up, started to read it, and don't didn't understand what it was saying, but I remember the book vaguely. I mean, not vaguely, vividly. I remember that book. Um, James is the author of that book. That was a bestseller, if I'm correct. Had to be. I saw it everywhere. I saw the book everywhere. It had to be a bestseller. Um, James, you also wrote a book, The Chess Bible.
Mhm.
Is that correct? Yeah. You wrote a book, The Chess Bible. Those books were all about chess and what chess did for your life and how it altered some things in your life and made you think a certain way. And then there's a book you wrote called No Blame, No Shame. And then there's another book called Freedom, Your Path to Recovery. And these books are for something totally different.
Yes.
They're for something totally different. You are a master of chess. However, your message today, James, that I mean, you've been giving this message and drilling this into us, is that addiction does not have to be your master or destiny. Just like in chess, a chess match, James, you showed us and told us that you can be victorious over your opponent, right? Mm-hmm. Likewise, you can beat addiction.
Yes.
This is I like summing this up in a ball. I'm going to turn the floor over to you, James. Give us some more about that, how it relates to as you can be victorious over an opponent playing chess. And as you said, you always wanted to win. you you got it was a rush in beating someone,
Yeah.
right? And then that was nothing. That didn't mean as much anymore because you found out that you used that though to beat something else that you were doing. Correct. So I'm going to turn it over to you, James. Um, for those who don't know him, this is Brother James Eade, and you guys are going to love him if you haven't met him already. James, the floor is yours, bro.
Thank you, Brother Holmes. And I do want to say that, I have told my story here several times, and the emphasis I want to put on it today is about recovery. Because as low as I got, and, I was closer to death than to life, and I chose to live at a certain time. But I will tell you what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. And what it's like now is recovery. And recovery means to me that I no longer am tempted, even occasionally, sure, but I know I have not just abstained from drugs and alcohol, I have renounced them. And I want to talk about that today at more length than I have in the past, because the past is in the past episodes we've talked about what happened to me, and I'll sum it up today. I was anxious as a child. My home environment was not predictable, and I like things to be predictable. And so I found solace by myself. But my home environment created an anxious child, and the anxious child had nightmares every night. We tried to stay awake and not go to sleep because he knew what was to expect, and but he wasn't able to, and he would fall asleep and had these nightmares. And so this anxiety reinforced the desire to just be alone, to control my environment, and so because of the unpredictability of the environment, I wanted to control it. And when I went into school, I couldn't really control my environment, and I couldn't really be by myself. There were people around me all the time, so the anxiety kind of worsened. Um, I was able to read a book that gave me a hint of how to change my dreaming habits and to stop the nightmares. But from as early as 6 until the 5th grade, I had these nightly nightmares. Um, and we moved several times. My dad was trying to get tenure at a college, and so we moved. So I was in the fifth grade in one school, the sixth grade in another, the seventh grade another, eighth eighth grade was a continuation, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, and then going on to high school. So it was basically five different schools in 4 years, and that increased my anxiety because I felt like I never fit in. I never, yeah, everybody else knew each other for their entire lives, and I didn't. But in junior high, in the seventh and eighth grades, middle school now, I think they call it, and I discovered drugs and alcohol, marijuana and alcohol, and I was amazed because the first time I had drinks, I was able to find myself comfortable around people, and all the people got smarter and funnier and prettier, and I just thought it was the magic elixir and the solution to my problems. And I maintained, but the whole time I'm still doing well scholastically. Out throughout high school, school was easy for me. Because I was a reader, I was a natural reader, and I read a lot of books, and some of them were appropriate for school, and I would do that just by my nature, and so naturally I could get decent scores or good scores in school. I did very well in the SATs, for example. But as I progressed, I kept drinking and what we called partying. And, partying could be two people getting loaded. And, but that's what we called it. And that's how I felt about it. It was all the things that worried me in life went away. And all the people seemed to be good to be around. Um, but I was also good at sports. I was ended up being captain of the cross country team in the fall, captain of the chess team in the winter, and captain of the track team in the spring. So basically that helped me a lot in order to maintain. I couldn't really get drunk the night before a meet or the night before a race, and so I didn't really have any perceivable consequences throughout high school. But when I graduated, all bets were off. And when I got into college, I could do whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. And what I wanted was to be higher than high. I wanted to feel ecstatic. And I thought there was a formula for it. And it must involve the right amount of sex, the right amount of drugs, the right amount of alcohol, the right amount of rock and roll music, because that was what we were listening to. And, and to go do stuff that was fun. And but I continued to do pretty good in school. But what I realized was that I was very good at math. My dad was a math professor, and I took calculus, and I knew how to do calculus. I had performed calculus equations in the past, and I understood it. And I got an A in the midterm, but the partying caught up to me, and in the final exam, I was formulating the answer in my head, and then it would slip away, and I ended up with a B plus, which was kind of like a shock to me that I couldn't ace calculus. Come on. And so I knew I needed to dry out, and I went to Nashville. I hitchhiked the ride to Nashville, Tennessee, because I grew up in New England, and I knew I had a bias towards the South, and Nashville seemed like the best city in the South to me at the time, with my mindset at the time. But what I was really doing was running away, doing the geographic, getting away from the drug dealers, getting away from the people I knew that had drugs. They weren't really drug dealers; they were just people that had drugs, and I could buy them from them. And these are the types of things that I was doing, and I escaped it. And I came back and was able to graduate and limit myself to 2 beers and a joint every night. And this gave me the delusion of control. I could control it. And so I could control my environment. I could control my drinking and my drug abuse. It was all about controlling these things. And I moved out to California with my best friend and got a job the first week. And I got a series of promotions. So from the outside looking in, everything was great. And I kept getting promoted into doing different jobs, and I realized I couldn't do them stoned, so I increased my drinking and quit smoking, and so that was what I thought was a clever answer, smart on my part. That shows you how smart I was. People thought I was smart, intelligent, that sort of thing. I was well read. But, you know, drinking more to quit another addiction is a transfer of addiction. And also the drinking eventually caught up to me. Um, Now I, lived in a nice neighborhood in San Francisco. I drove a nice car. I, had a suit and tie to work every day. You couldn't tell anything was wrong. But inside, I felt like a failure. Inside, I had a lack of self-worth. And it eventually caught up with me to a point where my wife said, I want to take you to the emergency room. And I said, I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. I'll wait till then. And she said, no, it's not for 2 days. And I said, oh, man, okay. So dragging and kicking, screaming me to the emergency room, which saved my life. That's how bad I was. I had edema in my legs and ankles and feet. And, I had trouble walking, and that's how bad I was. And the first doctor told me I needed a new liver. I had destroyed my liver. The second doctor said I may or may not, and he referred me to a specialist. But the first night in the emergency room, I had what I have come to know as a spiritual awakening. And although I used to have panic attacks going to the doctor just to get my teeth cleaned, for example, something fairly routine and harmless, I would still get very upset. And right before going into any medical intervention, going to visit a general physician, going to see a dentist, any of those things could produce a panic attack in me. But when I was walking to the doctor's office, he was going to tell me whether or not I needed a liver transplant, I was calm because I knew it was out of my control. And I had given up. Thank you to this spiritual awakening. I had given up the illusion that I could control everything. I couldn't control my environment. I couldn't control my drinking. I couldn't control, the different things, the feelings that I had kept buried. When they would come out, they would be overwhelming to me. And they produced bad results in terms of my behavior towards others, sharp tongue that I used. I wielded it like a weapon, and it was a very, very destructive in interpersonal relationships. But after the spiritual awakening, I had come to the realization that it was out of control. And so eventually, thank you to the spiritual awakening, I sought help because that was another delusion that I had. I didn't need anyone's help in any way. And I could do it myself, whatever it was. And I know now I admitted I needed help. And that was a staggering admission for me at the time. It was a lesson in humility that I hope no one ever has to go through something like that. But if you do, it's one of the gifts that you get is the humility that everyone needs help. And not everyone needs my help, but everyone needs help. And so when I started into a program of recovery, it's a 12-step program that most people know about, and I did not like it one little bit. And I persevered because the doctor told me that if I drank, I would die, and he didn't mean eventually. When he said the word, you're going to die, and you're not going to, and I don't mean eventually. That sunk in. That struck a nerve. Like, oh my goodness, I can't play around anymore. And I had this vivid memory of sitting in my backyard on a hot sunny day, thinking one beer would be great. And I said to myself, one beer won't kill me. And then I heard my doctor's voice, and I knew that it wouldn't be one beer; it would be two beers, because if one was good, more would be better. And then all bets were off. And the result this time would be an emergency room that I didn't wake up from. And I was ready to live. And I had made the decision that I needed help. So even though it was a frustrating and uncomfortable experience for me, I went into a recovery group. And what I found was it wasn't so much the literature, it wasn't so much the steps themselves, although they're very good exercises to go through. I recommend them for people. But it was the people around me. I developed a support system, a community of people that were supportive of me. I didn't know I needed that. I was surprised that I needed that. And I did need it, and I did get it. And so I still go to these meetings. Um, and I still, I know people, and some of them have passed away. Some of the people that I like the most have left this earth, and I still think about them. And I think when I think about them, they're still alive. And I also make new friends, new acquaintances, especially people who are new to recovery, in bad shape. Maybe not as bad as I was, but in bad shape, and they have no hope. And what I can give them is this little spark of hope. And when I see it in their eyes that it's happened, this little spark of hope, that's a gift that I get. I get more than I give when I help
Yes.
someone else.
Yeah.
I know that. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, and I touch on this all the time because it really, when you first said it, it kind of resonated in my spirit. I really didn't understand it, but what you talked about was you lost your ability or your gift to choose,
My power of choice.
power of choice, and how did and what does that look like to regain that?
Oh
First
man.
of all, what does it look like to lose it?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah. That's the one thing is like I say I bent my knee to the tyranny of addiction. And it's a merciless tyrant because you are compelled to behave and do certain things that you wouldn't think you would do. You wouldn't think you would behave that way, but you do. You did.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up having to admit it and look, and you don't make excuses anymore. This is why I say no blame, no shame. Because when this happened to me, when this happens to others, I hear their stories, they're ashamed. Shame is a low vibration. You can't create anything out of shame. What you do with shame is get over it if you can. And this is part of the support system around you. You see people who are, once again, productive people, once again, happy people, and they're supporting you because they were there. They were that desperate. They were that embarrassed about themselves. They had that lack of self worth. They had that shame beating them down, holding them down. And what it does, tyranny of alcohol, of addiction, is that it compels you. You no longer choose to behave this way. I would never have chosen to do some of the things I did, but I had to. And this is the lack of choice that I'm referring to. When I said I have the power of choice, it was freely given to me, and I lost it through addiction. And then through recovery, I regained it. I can now choose. You offer me a drink, I can choose to say no.
Mm-hmm.
You offer
Wow.
me a joint at a Grateful Dead concert, and I can choose to say no.
Wow.
And that choice has been returned to me. It was freely given to me to begin with, and I squandered it. Now it's
Mm-hmm.
precious to me, and I do not want to lose it again. I know what it feels like to be compelled, to be under a compulsion. People think that oh, I have a craving for chocolate, a slice of chocolate cake. It's nothing like that. You know, think about a mosquito when you're trying to go to sleep and it's buzzing and buzzing and keeping you away, and you swat at it and swat at it and swat at it, but it keeps buzzing and buzzing. It's louder and louder, it seems. And that's what addiction is like. That's what the urge is like. At first, you say shrug it off. First, you say get away, and first you keep saying, you know, I, I'm going to go to sleep anyways, or I'm going to do this anyways, but it keeps coming. It keeps buzzing. There's a noise in your head that won't be silenced, and you cannot stand it anymore. You have to change the way you feel. You must. You're compelled to change the way you feel. I used to feel like if I felt this way for a second longer, my head will explode. And I'm not exaggerating. That's how I felt. I felt like I was going to explode until I took a drink. And then the noise went down. My shoulders would drop. And, and again, if that was good, more is better. So keep drinking. And but this idea of craving, no, it's not like that. It's far worse than a craving. It's a compulsion. And the mosquito doesn't go away. It won't let you sleep no matter how desperately you want to sleep. It
Mm.
keeps buzzing, it keeps buzzing a lot. Then it gets louder and louder and louder. And then you have to do something about it. And if that means lying, stealing, all these things, we all talk about this in the meeting rooms. But I found that this, and I was given another gift. This was nothing to do with me, but COVID was a pandemic that was very disruptive to our society, and we could no longer meet in person. So they had Zoom meetings, and Zoom meetings are wonderful. And we were blessed to have them because otherwise we would not have been able to talk to one another. And that's the other thing I want to say is that I was brought up to say that it's not a problem unless you talk about it. And if you talk about it, you're the problem. So don't talk about these things because there's shame based. You don't want anyone to know about them. And so that was the kind of thing. And now I have found that talking about them is part of the recovery process. And by talking with others who have been where you've been, doesn't have to be exactly where you've been, it's just similar. Then all of a sudden you feel like you're not, it's not only happening to you, it eases the sense of you being alone. No one knows how I feel. I don't know how many times I said that
Mm.
myself mostly, but they don't understand. And you find that people do. People who have been there, gone through what you've gone through. And the disease of alcoholism, the disease of addiction, these types of things are, um, you know, not generally understood as diseases. They're understood as a moral failing. It's nothing of the sort. I can speak from experience on this. It's not a question of willpower. I was a chess master. I had extremely strong willpower. Uh, these are the types of things you don't know what's happening to you until it's too late. And you don't know when you cross the line from a heavy drinker to an addictive drinker, and you're hooked. And once you get hooked, you can't unhook yourself. You need help.
Yeah.
And I got desperate enough to admit that I needed
Mm.
help. And however low you go, doesn't matter. Sometimes you get into this comparison, these war stories. I had it worse than you had it worse than me, blah, blah, blah. No, it doesn't matter because there's trauma with a capital T. Some people have had it, and some people have trauma with a small t. And that can be just as elusive to finding your way in life um, as trauma with a capital T. I didn't know I had PTSD, but after recovery, about 7, 8 years into recovery, I was presented with this book that talked about it, and I just like check every box, man. Wow, I have it, and I never treated it. I never even understood that I had it. So this PTSD was one of the things that it's the source of the anxiety that I was always trying to self-medicate to avoid. But during the COVID connection, I found that refuge recovery and recovery dharma were also available, not just the traditional 12-step programs. There was Buddhist-based programs, and I found them very, very helpful for me. Um, so now I tell people, one size doesn't fit all. If you go to a recovery program and it doesn't work for you, there are others. Don't give up because this is another thing when you're recovering from alcohol when you're in your early stages you have no real strength of the strength that hope gives you don't really have that and you tend to give up. I've seen it over and over again. And when you help people come back, even if they have what we call a relapse, um, and they come back even more ashamed because they've been introduced to the program, but they went out again. And now I was, I guess, lucky enough that I couldn't afford to do more research. My liver was to the extent where I could not try, see what happens. Maybe I can be a social drinker. I couldn't do it. I see Lazaro's hand up. If you want to ask a
Well,
question.
well, well. I'm gonna get to the panel. We're gonna get
Oh,
to them.
okay.
I'm listening to you, but I have something that because I listened to your story. I mean I dissected your story. That it is tremendous. It's overwhelming. What you can't help but to um, think after hearing so much of the things that you overcame. I have a question that I thought about this. I thought about, be honest, I thought about this for a couple of days to ask you this. You said that you no longer had the will to win in chess.
Oh yeah,
You didn't want to play competitive anymore. That
right.
did nothing for you. Um, Obviously, you have you haven't lost. I'm just it's not a question. You have not lost the desire to win. You just directed it in another area
I I I am having to think about that. I think
because
there's some truth to that. Um, but what I'm working on is uh, not to be competitive, to be
uh-huh.
helpful.
hmm the competitiveness that comes with it. You have to come out of that to get into where you're at right now for full focus on yourself. With that being said, that's just what I'm getting. But with that being said, let me ask you this: would the will to beat someone in chess be considered to you as a relapse?
Wow. Glad I'm sitting down, Brother Holmes. That is why I don't play competitively anymore because I don't trust myself.
uh,
I don't trust myself not to become competitive and try to win. And by winning, I mean crushing my
hmm
opponent,
hmm
which was
Would
my
that
goal.
be considered a
A relapse.
relapse if you went back to that area? You play somebody chess, you like, I'm gonna crush this dude, man. I know I can beat him. I'm gonna, get competitive. Would that be considered a relapse to you? To you?
To, to me, to me,
Yeah, to
yes,
you.
it would.
Okay,
Absolutely. It
okay.
would be a step backwards.
Okay, yes, yes. That's what I was looking for
Yeah,
because of I've like I said, I've heard your story from the beginning,
right.
and I heard a lot of things that you said, and they all were powerful. I'm like, wow, all the way to when I really got me when you said about you lost the power of choice, and wow, how'd you do
Yeah,
that? When we were all given choice, if we given nothing else, we were
yeah,
given the power to choose. And
absolutely.
how
Freely
did you
given.
lose that?
Yeah.
So your story really it really touched me and really had me thinking, a lot of things that you're going through. So I thought about it. I said, man, this guy is adamant that he will not play competitive chess anymore because it has to mean that it's going to take him somewhere that's going to remind him of something else.
Yeah,
It's going to take him somewhere else. So would that be considered a relapse?
yeah.
And I was saying to myself, yes, because it would take you backwards.
And one of the things that I have learned because it was taught to me and I was willing to learn it is the environment can be stronger than your will.
Mhm,
And so if
mhm.
you put yourself in a dangerous environment, things that are dangerous may happen.
Right,
And
right.
if you
Thank you.
can avoid it, sometimes you can't, but sometimes you can. If you
Mhm.
can avoid putting yourselves in those environments,
Yeah,
it's not like I can go in there and control it.
right.
That's the thing that I've learned about myself. I had that feeling I could control everything. No. And if I put myself in that environment, who knows what'll happen? I don't trust myself yet to have been spiritually developed enough to walk in there and to compete and play well with a smile on my face and be rooting for my opponent to do well too.
Thank you for that, James. Thank you, brother. I'm gonna take a couple questions right now. Lazaro Acosta, I see your hand's been up for a minute, brother. What do you have?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Awesome. So, James, thank you so much for stopping by. Your story is super awesome, and I'm like totally enthralled. So, when it comes to addiction and people that are addicted in terms of like themselves getting help, I know that you were talking about, before you knew it, you had like a support system behind you.
and you were talking about how important that is, especially to like recover from addiction and stuff like that. So what could you say for somebody that is like, very alone, like they don't have that support system and they don't have any type of like tools, at least in their mind, that even like leads them towards a support system and stuff like that.
Oh, great question, Lazaro. That because part of my disease was one of isolation. I used to say frequently that all I needed was a high-speed internet connection and to live by a university because I still like to do research. I still like to, if I had a question in my mind, my dad taught me this. He said, don't wait to be taught, teach yourself. So I always would go to a library or something like to be able to answer whatever question I had or to really research something that was interesting to me. And which is what I did with chess and other fields as well. And I think that the isolation is part of my disease, which means that when I'm home alone, I can feel comfortable, but I get this awareness. Hey, Jim, this is feeling a little too comfortable. You being by yourself. Maybe you got to go to a meeting and see other people. And I have never yet been wrong about that. I have never yet left that meeting saying, I wish I hadn't gone. I was always glad to see other people. They were glad to see me. This is the amazing part. They were happy to see me there. And sometimes you don't know how you can brighten someone's day just by your presence, just by showing up. Now, this person you're talking about, or this example that you're using, this person is probably has no hope. They can't formulate the answer for themselves, and believe me, I tried to do it myself. I tried, and I thought I could. I was certain that I could, but the fact is, I didn't know I needed people, and people would say that I might need people. Nah, not me. And I'm fine by myself. That was me as a child, yet that was me as an adult too. I'm fine by myself. Leave me alone. I don't have a problem. I'm not hurting anyone. If I'm hurting anyone, I'm hurting myself. So just leave me alone. Believe me, I know someone who feels like that, how they felt, how they feel now. This is why I try to reach out to people and let them know that there is hope. And what works for me may not work for them, but they can find what works for them. And if I give them that spark of hope, who knows what it'll lead? Who knows what action they will take? And who knows if that will help them? And maybe it's not me that needs to help them. Maybe it's somebody else. Put them in that person's path. And they find that person, and that person changes their life around. So, I don't have control over this, but I know that if they find the right person or they find the right program, it's just kind of like a numbers game. If you get them in front of enough people, they'll hear what they need to hear. And you never know what it is you need to hear until you hear it. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question. Danielle, oh, what a blessing and pleasure to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see your hand is up. I'm sure I know you have an awesome question, so go right ahead.
Well, I loved how you presented the question to him of the playing chess. So, but that add to the texture of the thing I'm going to bring in. The question is, do you think, like a metaphor like that playing that chess game is almost like when you were thinking about what's your next move? How can I, because you were out of moves, pretty much. You were in checkmate or, check because your liver was gone, literally. And you were like, okay, what new game can I play in this healing to create a new condition of a dopamine high to condition yourself almost.
To condition yourself out of this boredom.
Yeah, this isolation. And also, the follow-up question is, how are you enjoying being the mirror for people for hope?
No. Well, I'll try to answer both questions. Thank you for them. Um, uh, uh, the second one I'll answer is it's a higher high than I ever got through drugs and alcohol. When I see that glimmer, that spark of hope in someone else, that is so rewarding. So, but it's not a selfish intention. It's not that kind of reward that I get. What I get is that feeling of connection, that connection to another human being, because I know what they were going through. I know to some extent, to a very narrow degree, what they're feeling. You know, I can't say exactly, but I know very close. And if I can help them, that is like sort of like an affirmation that I'm walking my path. I'm walking the right path for me because it's there. I must have gone through this for a reason. I've survived it. And now I've learned so much about what recovery means and what recovery can do. And you can have a life and it's a life worth living. And they don't have that feeling that they'll ever have a happy life. That was another thing when, I thought, oh man, quitting drinking and drugging, how am I going to have any fun?
Yeah.
I have plenty of fun. I'm laughing all the time, things, and I'm not laughing at other people's, expense, and I've learned that you don't have to step on anyone's neck to lift yourself up in life. It comes from within. You lift yourself up. You change your own vibration. If I'm feeling ashamed, if I'm bringing myself down, fear and shame are two of the lower vibrations bringing you down. Well, you have a choice. You can change your vibration. You can lift it. You can raise your vibration. You can raise it to the point where you're loving and kind. I point to my throat when I say kind because it used to be my mouth was my weapon.
Well, the voice is a vibration, and you were saying raising our vibration strike. We can actually get a high just by breathing, and people are not aware of this. And that the fact that you have connected into that source to mirror that to other people as a reference, especially where you've been in that lower vibration of addiction and that thrill of recreating that chaos because it was a necessity to keep going in that pattern.
Yeah.
It was essential. So I appreciate that you bring that in when you share this to people. So thank you.
And thank you. And it's also one of my my go-tos now is a deep breathing, deep breath. It's a somatic experience. I learned it in yoga. And again, yoga, went in with contempt prior to investigation. I thought yoga, okay, it's about flexibility and women and Lululemon. I don't need that. And but it's like I learned about my breathing and the prana, the energy that you can move around your body, and that, it's like that was a gift that was given to me, even though I was too dumb to ask for it.
Well, and you said about the words. You said I'm too dumb. That brings in the lower vibration of like your self-worth.
Good call. But yeah, I meant that I did not know enough to ask for it.
And then you talked about going into that shame part. And so we need to learn to understand when we're forgiving others, but forgiving ourselves and
compassion to yourself.
Yeah.
Amazing thing. I work on that all the time because it's not my default. My default is the inner critic. Not good enough, not fast enough. I could have done it better. Even if I'm getting an award for something, I said, well, they don't really know. I could have done that better.
So your internal coach has actually helped with all that. So your studying is actually your high. You're always looking at the why, and then you've been applying it. So COVID actually gave you that quietness to change how you approach things, because that was its own isolation. So you had to do something different.
Right.
So thanks.
Thank you.
Wow, this sounds like this is therapy.
You'd watch your language.
At its best. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I want to say this a little off topic, James. Lazarus says, James, to go a bit off topic, where are you from? You give off Irish vibes. He said, I'm feeling inspired to dress like you, honestly.
Yes.
Are you, are you
People
Irish?
joke. People like me joke. I'm in the CIA. Catholic, Irish, and alcoholic. Yes, but it was my great grandparents that came from Ireland, and so my grandparents had connections to Ireland, but they kind of drifted away from that by my parents' generation. And I can remember my aunt saying, "I'm not Irish. I'm not Irish American. I'm American." And the look on her face was, okay, okay, you're American. But yeah, and it comes out in all sorts of genetic ways. Like, for example, Irish people are more susceptible to something like celiac disease. So I can't eat gluten, for example. So it's an Irish kind of genetic characteristic. So yeah, I'm Irish, and I'm not one to say that I'm pro any particular culture,
Right.
but it was fascinating going to Dublin, which I did many times, and learning about the history of my family. Not so much the specific family, but what went through. Like when my great grandparents came over, what were they escaping? Well, they were escaping famine. And fast forward to today, where are immigrants coming into this country? Why are they? Because they're starving. They're escaping famine or worse. So, the Statue of Liberty gives us you're tired, you're poor, you're huddled masses. Well, let's live up to that. And because when they came over, my great grandparents came over, there were signs in the store windows saying Irish need not apply. This was the reality of their experience. But we got assimilated into the population, and it helped being white. I think after a while, you lose your accent, you blend in more. But the same thing happened with the Italians after the Irish. Same things.
Thank you for that. Listen. Let your voice be heard. You're gonna get some everything on here. You get a history lesson.
Don't get me started.
Some therapy. You're gonna get some therapy. You're gonna get everything. Here we give it all.
You couldn't get me to talk, and now you can't shut me up.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I like what comes out. I like what comes out. Sometimes you hear people, you're like, yeah, let's just be quiet. I don't want to hear that. But you got a lot to say, man. You have a lot of jewels and things that people need to hear. People should want to hear. Veronica, I see your hand is up. Come on. You always have something good. Come on, Veronica.
Yeah.
Just want to say thank you for the history lesson because I know nothing about the world. I have to ask, when you were in Dublin, were you drinking at the time?
No.
Did you?
This is yes and no. I went to Dublin when I was drinking, and I went to the bars, and I took just a little aside. I was playing darts, and when I came home, because I guess that was one of the things you do in a pub in Dublin, and when I got back home, I was waiting for my wife to come home for what she was doing, and we were going to go out to dinner, and there was a darts tournament on TV, and she says, let's go. And I say, oh, the tournament's almost over. And she says, oh, no, not another sport. But I have returned more times and since getting into recovery.
Yeah.
I've had just as much fun.
Right. Good. I have to say, my question was pretty much answered. But I was going to ask you, do you feel like you still work on yourself today? Like, what do you work on? You said, oh, I work on that all the time. But what are some of the things that you feel like you have to constantly work on, or you don't you always work on because it's something you have to keep up with?
Oh, great question. And I'm comfortable sharing this, but I do spiritual rituals every day. Um, and I get up first thing. I get up at 5:30 in the morning, and until recently it was dark out. No cars, no nothing. So it was just me and my walk. And I would start my spiritual rituals. And first off, I would ask for help from what my spiritual advisor calls the team behind the veil. And I have certain archetypical types of people. St. Francis is one of them. To give you an example, he was a healer and he loved animals. Animals loved him, and that sort of thing. So I ask for help first thing, and then I say I have work to do, and I go through a series of rituals. And it feels like work when I'm getting started, when I'm waking up, but pretty soon it's not work at all. I'm having an excellent time. And what I'm doing is I'm getting ready, spiritually fit, to make conscious contact with a higher power. And when I mean conscious contact, I mean I want to be fully present. And I want to be in conscious contact. And when I can do that, I get this feeling of connectedness to all life forms and all its various manifestations, to forces beyond my control, and I feel a part of. And this is a calmness that I never thought possible, and I can achieve it every morning. And when I do that every morning of every day, I know that later in the day when I get agitated or anxious or angry, I see something on television I don't like, I see a headline I don't like, something like, I can lose it for a brief second or two, or maybe a little longer. And then I remember, the awareness kicks in. Take a deep breath, Jim. Remember that calm feeling. You've already done it once today. So I have confidence based on experience that I can do it again. And one deep breath often restores me. And I forget about this thing. I let it go. Whatever it was, and it used to eat me up. I would work it around in my mind. Often people say a hamster wheel that just goes turn to turn and turn. And I wouldn't let it go. Now I can, with one deep breath.
Man.
So have something that you do every day for yourself, yes, but you cannot share what you do not have. And if you can't be calm when someone else is a wreck right in front of you, falling apart, and you pick up on their anxiety and you become anxious, you're no help to them. So you've got to be vibrating calmness at them. And I've seen it over and over, too often to deny it. They pick up on that vibration. And pretty soon you see them take a deep breath and exhale everything out. And they just feel better.
Wow. We're gonna exhale. We're gonna exhale right now and let everything out.
That was like peaceful and calming. That was so,
before I go into a trance, we're gonna hurry up and let me exhale, man, because I was getting sleepy. I was getting really relaxed. I was getting really relaxed.
Play your song again.
We got to do that. We got to let your voice.
Put your hands up high.
Yeah, yes. I'm going to take this question from Tony, and then panel. You can. I would encourage you to stay here. We have James. We have we're doing a 2-part tonight.
Yep, back to back.
We have back to back. We have another awesome guest.
Yeah. You got time constraints.
Sharee Wells, she's awesome, and we're gonna do that right after this one. Let me exhale. No. Let me inhale and gather all this stuff, because James, you're awesome, and we're gonna definitely have you back. You got to come back again. We got to keep this thing going. I see Tony has his hand up, so we're gonna take his question, and then we're gonna move right along. James, we love you, brother. Come on, Tony.
You too.
James.
Yes.
Once again, man. Once again. You know, you my brother from another mother. You know that. I mean, I love you, man. Honestly, all my heart. Yeah. You're somebody I can call when I'm feeling down.
Yes.
I don't know about you guys. I had my drug habits and had to fight back, and that's why we relate. We brothers. We talk till 2 in the morning sometime. But I love you, man. And I'd like to say this to the audience and panel. When James is not here talking to you and putting you in trances and all of that, go buy the books.
Yes, definitely, definitely. He has chess. He
The
has it.
books, and and if somebody wants James to come to their organization, your facility, listen, I'm coming with him. So me and James will pack up and come, and he can do this in front of your. But I'm not gonna miss it. I'm coming with him.
And
I'm glad to know.
and they ain't leaving Claude behind. You believe that? I'm right there. I love the trance. I want the relaxation.
But James, can you tell the audience and panel how they can purchase your books, how they can stay with you and follow you and do you deserve it. And
Thank you,
James
Tony.
has his own show. I'm sorry, James has his own show podcast that he does. So you don't even have to come on this show to hear. So can you tell them all of that, James, how they can follow you and buy your books? And
Yeah, sure. Just to make it easy, the two books that I would I really want to see more sales of are the two books on recovery that I wrote, and they tell my story in detail. They tell in detail my spiritual experience, my spiritual awakening, and that's Freedom, which was published in 2023. They're both available on Amazon. And the book that came out last year is No Blame, No Shame. And, there's no point in blaming your parents or blaming anything else. That's what I learned. Blaming other people was an easy cop out for me. And I did it a lot. And there's no point in it. And no shame. We talked a little bit about that. That's it's just a low vibration. And, and half the things that I think the gifts that I can give to others is to make them feel like they have worth, some sort of self-worth. And when I can see that starting to grow within them, I know I've made the connection that I desire to make. And this is a gift that's given to me as well as to them. And this sense of calmness that I give to myself every morning of every day is a gift that I give to myself. But you can't give what you don't have. So, I have to be spiritually fit when I'm going to come into contact with someone who is active in their addiction. There's no way I can be effective if I'm not. And, the anxious, uptight guy of the past couldn't help those people. I could join them in what they were doing, but I couldn't help them. Now I can. That's a great feeling.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, James. We thank you.
One other thing, Clint. I know you got to go. The website is airu.tv, AIRU.tv. And there's a lot of different podcasts on there. The one that might be most fitting is look for the episodes called Calm Down with James Eade.
Mm-hmm. Everyone got that? I hope everyone got that. We're going to put that in the chat. So you
one more time.
Continue to
AIRU.tv.
And I just said it should be a guided meditation you could do. You could do that, James. You could have guided to meditation. I feel it.
We're gonna end this because I know Karen had her hand up.
Oh,
but we're gonna have to. What we're gonna do is, James, we're gonna have you back. That's what we're gonna do. we're gonna have you back because there's people. Of course, your story is so amazing, and people want to know. People want to know because whether we say it or not, or whether we even ask a question on here, there's a lot of people that are dealing with the same thing that you were dealing with that are not that transparent.
That I know
you are, and you're helping,
or have someone they love.
Yes, yes, you're helping many people, man, and we thank you for that. I want to thank this panel. I love you. Yes, sir.
Can you let Karen go ahead and I'll call the client. Let Karen ask her question.
Oh,
if she had her hand up. She's a
Yeah,
regular. Let her
yes, she
answer
had
the
her
question.
hand up, but she had also texted me and said, "Don't worry about it. I'll ask it next time." I said,
No, I
"Okay."
want
Since she
to.
said that,
Because
come on
hello.
and
No.
answer.
Yeah, we make time for
Well,
Karen.
okay.
Yeah.
It's what we
Can you
call a
hear
burning
me?
desire.
Yes. Okay, so mine was not a question, but I wanted to say this. This show is super amazing because everyone comes from a different perspective and brings something different. You know, there are so many people that have like coaching and they have doula services, all types of services. But James, I think because it hits home for me so much, and like Veronica said, you could do meditation. You come with such humility, such gratitude that it's such a blessing and it needs to get out. So I'm so glad that you have a podcast. I'm so glad that you have a platform to talk about this because it is so needed. I'm so glad that Tony and Cloyd have you on here because it really, really, really touches so many families, definitely touches mine. And I just want to tell you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are amazing and you have a purpose in your life. And God is definitely using you to get this out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and
Wow.
thank you,
Thank
Cloyd,
you,
for having me.
Karen.
Yes, I'm glad that. Thank you, Tony, for allowing her to share that. That was powerful. I like that. That's really good. It's really good. I want to thank everybody, all the panel, for being here. I want to thank everybody for your input. I want to thank you for being here on Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. Do not go anywhere. We have an awesome guest that is about
Yep.
to come in, Miss Sharee Wells. But for now, we're gonna transition. It's your boy now.
Step in, lean in, mic on, and begin. Been quiet too long, chewed up tongue. Turn down songs, clock keeps ticking on the wall. But your name's
Boy,
still
now.
missing from the roll call. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you. Yeah. You got a truth tucked deep in your chest. Heartbeat tapping out, say you
Here,
confess.
James.
Crowd might stare, let them do what they do. They never held a fire living in you.
Hey.
Let your voice be heard. Say
Hey,
every
look, we can
single
have a party
word.
without
From the
drinking.
low notes to the sky. Your hands up high.
I'm fine without it.
Loud,
I'm defying
undeterred.
gravity.
If it shakes the room, that's how you know
We
it's you.
definitely got to keep this going.
Speak up, speak up. Name your dream out loud. Stand up, you're the leader of this crowd. One spark, one shout. Watch the silence melt. Power in your mouth is the truest thing you felt.
Hey.
Let your voice be
Hey.
heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear,
What?
undeterred. If it takes the room, that's how you know it's you. Yeah, that's you. That's you.
Yeah.
Step in, lean in. My God, never again.
It's your boy now.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah. Mm.
Just put some water.
Oh.
Step in, lean in, mic on, and begin. Hey! Been quiet too long, chewed up tongue. Turn down songs, clock keeps ticking on the wall. But your name's still missing from the roll call. Let your voice be heard, say every single word. From the low notes to the sky, throw hands up high. Let your voice be heard, loud, clear, undeterred.
You got a light, buddy?
Yeah, sure, kid. There you go.
And your wallet.
Nick, give him your wallet.
If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you, yeah. Oh, yeah. You got a truth tucked deep in your chest. Heartbeat tapping out, say it, confess. Crowd might stare, let them do what they do. They never held a fire living in you. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard, loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you, yeah. Speak up, name your dream out loud. Stand up, you're the leader of this crowd. One spark, one shout, watch the silence melt. That power in your mouth is the truest thing you felt. Your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you.
Yes. Let your voice be heard. Welcome. Again, this is Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. My name is Cloyd Holmes. I am a CEO and visionary of Man Up Ministry, Inc. I'm also the host of Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. We welcome everyone here tonight. This night has been awesome. We've had awesome guests, and we have a super duper amazing lady here tonight. Her story is awesome, and things that she does are second to none. When I first heard her story, I was a little confused because I'll be honest, Sharee, I was, because I was trying to find out what was different, because we have women. I know about women advocacies and women who want to help women, and and so it falls into a niche of let's see, people say, oh well, we want to help this group, or we want to help this group, or we want to. I've heard these advocacies, but yours is different. Yours felt different. I said, I never heard that before. Maybe because I just ain't paying attention. I don't know, but I I have never heard that story before. You actually focus. It's a target audience, a target that a group of people that you are interested in, not just helping but progressing in what they do. I thought, and I'll be honest with you, I thought at one time, this is he trying to help some people that is too late for help. You understand? Because I'm saying, well, now you're just to get the audience caught up. Her target is women who are what do you say, mid-career women, and the fact and idea of the the undervalue, I would say, of them in the workplace, in corporate. These are the women she's targeting. These are corporate people that you're talking about that have worked their way to where they are. However, may not be able to go any further, however, deserve to be at the top. Something that you said to me, not to me, but to the group last time that stuck with me. And I said, wow, thought about that. Is that positive and excellent production does not equal promotion.
Right.
Wow. So I'm working hard. I'm trying to get, I'm working hard and I'm trying to do everything that's right. And my work is excellent. I fit all the criterias and I fit everything that Jimmy doesn't have. But I'm here and he's here. Wow. I'm gonna let you have the floor. And I know there's much, much more to your story than that, but that is that's in itself. Let me say this before I do that, because I'm not sure. Do you have a book? I mean, you're a co-author of a book. Is that right? A season of possibilities?
It was, a while back, that was a book that a friend of mine did from her podcast, and I had been a guest on the podcast, and so I had a chapter in the book.
Okay. I because I want to promote it, and we want to, but with your story, I want to make sure that I want to get a copy automatically, but I want to make sure that the panel knows what's available in the house, available, and if it's your book, and after they hear your story, I'm sure they want to hear more. So I'm gonna give you the floor now, Miss Sharee Wells. Welcome to Let Your Voice
Hi,
Be Heard,
everybody.
Radio.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me back again. I appreciate it. For those of you who were here before, you already know my story, but bear with me for a moment while I tell it for people that perhaps were not. My first career was in elder and adult long-term care advocacy for 2 states. The position was called the Eastern Oklahoma Development District Area Agency on Aging Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program Supervisor and Senior Advocacy Coordinator. Right.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It didn't even fit, of course, on my business card, so they shortened it to the EODD AAA Ombudsman, which still didn't mean anything to anybody. But an ombudsman is an advocate or a mediator for people who may have complaints or problems with an agency or an organization. The word is Scandinavian. And in the U.S., as part of the Older Americans Act programs, some funding was set aside to give to the state, and those states would then put a program in place to help families and residents of nursing homes to handle their complaints in those facilities. So that is what I set out to set up for my little corner of Oklahoma. There, I was initially introduced to mediation and negotiation principles, and I took some courses by the Harvard Negotiation Project, as it was known at the time. I worked 11 years as that long-term care ombudsman, investigating and mediating residents' complaints in nursing homes, assisted living, and other long-term care facilities, and trained volunteer advocates to do it for specific homes. I had a district of 7 counties, but I would train volunteers for particular homes. It was really rewarding for me to be a part of grassroots efforts to pass the Oklahoma Room and Board Home Care Act of 1984. It's now the Oklahoma Residential Care Act. And what it did was it regulated a segment of the care industry that had been unregulated for years And people took money from people to provide care for them, but they didn't provide the care. It wasn't nursing home care. It was care for them to live, have laundry services, meal services, live in a clean place, and that sort of thing. But what we found when we went out to check on some of these places that were people living in chicken coops and barns and sheds and that sort of thing, and the money was, rolling in, but the care was not going out. So that work was so exciting to me, to be a part of the process that could actually get a law passed that would make a big systemic change for people. And at that moment, my advocate's heart went, oh, I want to change care system. So when the opportunity knocked, in Oklahoma at that time, Medicaid, which is the state and federal mix of money that pays for health care for poor people in the U.S. It's got different names in different states, but it's Medicaid. It would only care for the care of poor elders and adults with disabilities if they lived in a nursing home, whether they needed to be in a nursing home or not. They could only get money to pay for their care if they went to a nursing home. So people were going into nursing homes way before they had to. And we discovered through some research that if you would do a Medicaid waiver in your state, Medicaid would then pay for care in people's homes instead of in their nursing homes. But you had to jump through all these hoops. So we worked on developing that, and my part of that, developing that system, was to create a single tool for replacing all of the many, many forms from the 7 state agencies and all their various 25 or more programs. People would have to go and fill out different forms for every single program that they needed to be part of in order to get care in their home. And then forms for their care plan, and then forms for their eligibility, and then forms for the monitoring of the care plan and the changes and updates. So we thought that was too much for frail elders and adults with disabilities. And we worked together to negotiate the changes, getting 7 state agencies to agree on anything, much less forms, was quite a job for me. But eventually we were able to get the fact through to people that they were all collecting the same information. They just had their own look and feel of the forms and the order in which they connected it. So when we all got on the same page, we were able to really quickly come up with that form, and it's still in use today with, of course, updates. So I felt like my, heart for advocacy had been fed. And when my husband and our partner were talking about our partner leaving the company because his wife had been transferred to another state and he wanted to go with her, I had just done the boring part of sitting on the board. I hadn't worked in the company, but it was a career advising company. And the guy said, Sharee, haven't you worked for the state long enough? Isn't it time for you to come to work for us? So I did. And I love the work. I found out that advocacy was not just about me and working on ways to help old people, but it was also a way for me to help people do for themselves in their careers. People who either didn't know how to find a job, change industries, advance in their positions, or, you know, create their own sort of job, either become an entrepreneur or have a company create a position for them. So I thought, oh, that's advocacy. That requires me to negotiate and encourage and do all of the things that I love to do. So I joined the company, and 30 years later, I'm still there. My husband was 17 years older than me. And about 7 years ago, he got dementia, and I cared for him until his death several months ago. I took a work break to adjust my life and goals and, come to a place where it was okay to be just me, because we've been married for 37 years. And while I was reading, I was even deciding whether I was going to continue coaching and being a career strategist at all. But I read statistics for a very old issue showing that change was still needed for women in the workplace in general, but specifically for mid-career women who wanted to move into leadership roles, but were not being allowed due to age and gender bias. So I said, oh, no, that can't happen. That can't be. So I stepped back into work with that particular goal in mind. And so I have refocused my efforts to address that issue.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot. That's a lot. I want to know at what point, because you went through a lot of stuff. At what point you kept saying that was an advocacy. At what point did you know, or did you have the desire to advocate on any issues? Because you just pop up and say, I'm an advocate. I'm just going to advocate on this stuff. There's something that happens somewhere to say, well, this needs attention, and I'm the one to do it. So take me there, and we get us back to where you're at.
It's a ways back. I have always been an encourager. It's one of my spiritual gifts, the primary one. So I like to help people. Mm-hmm. My mom had brought us up to take cookies to the elderly in nursing homes and read stories and that sort of thing. But when I was 20, my dad died. And so I had to go to work. And so I quit school and went to work. And the position that I got was in a nursing home. And that's where it occurred to me, as the activities director, I was seeing all kinds of things in the nursing home that were violations of the residents' rights. But I didn't know there was anything you could do about that. And so I was kind of whining about it to my neighbor. And my neighbor said, oh, we're starting a program at our agency. That was the Eastern Oklahoma Development District Area Agency on Aging. She said, come and interview for the position. So I did, and I got the job. And when I got that job, when I got that work, and I started working with helping people to help themselves or fighting for the rights of people who couldn't fight for their own rights, it was like I came home. It was just, it was a gift to me because otherwise I had been one of those girls. I was going to sing opera and I was going to do this and I was going to, be a child psychologist and yeah. No, I wasn't. I was going to be an advocate.
Yeah, that's really good. I know because I know it didn't just happen. Yeah, I'm going to help though. No. See, I am a firm believer in that we have plans, but God has purpose. So what we do in those aspects would be our purpose, and our plans may fail, but our purpose is not going to fail. It's going to come. It's going to go through. You're going to do what your purpose is. That's my belief. But anyway, before we go into the advocacy of the mid-career women, because that's really deep, and I really love that. I see there's a lot of hands up here, and there's hands up, and I think hands went up as you were speaking certain issues. So I'm going to allow two of these people to, well, there's three of them now, but I'm going to do that, and then we're going to go into the what you're doing now and how you and what effect you're having on that. Let me see, Danielle, you had your hand up.
Well, hi, Sharee. I want to say thank you as a person who's a social worker, what you've done. I was in that grassroots of watching the paperwork like that. And that, yeah. And I was an activity director, so we're speaking the same language here.
Teacher's pet.
Yes, we are.
Teacher's pet.
I love you already.
So, first of all, I want to also say sorry about the loss of your husband. And
Yes.
Thank you for being the Osbundsman that you're still portraying, still going on. But you might be answering this in the near future here. But I wanted to ask, what pillars do you use to help the midlife women to help bring their voice when they find they were marginalized? Especially corporate women are finding themselves because that age bias, like you said, the marginalization, and maybe even the BIPOC community itself, because we were never leaders. We were the caregivers of fixing up everybody's problems in those roles because we had these unlabeled titles that keep us stuck. And when you're talking to these women who are redefining their lives, because just like you, becoming widows or divorcees late in life, they're still carrying and they're trying to still thrive. They can't think about retirement. They think that they've ended it. So what pillars do you pull from that you help support them with?
The first one is positioning. Women don't always know how to position themselves in an organization, how to talk about what they do, how to put themselves in front of the people to get them to the next level. And there is nothing in most companies to generate that. There are lots of mentorships for the guys. And guys, I'm not putting you down, fellas. It's just not a balanced system. There are not mentorships that bring you to the right people, that help you develop your network, that help you speak to the people that you need to speak to, that need to become familiar with what it is you do before they go handing you another person younger and less experienced than you so that you can train them to be your boss. So positioning is one thing that is very important, and finding that special thing that you do that people need, that thing that they come to you and they ask you, do this, or can you help us with that? Or this project is going on and they're stuck. Come and help us get them unstuck. That thing you do, that thing that people ask you for, that needs to be what you, I guess, roll in front of them all of the time until they become familiar with it, because otherwise they're oblivious to the fact that they're asking you for that thing. They are just asking you to fix a problem. So we're seen as problem solvers. and we're seen as nurturers and those sorts of things. If you can put yourself in front of people as the person with expertise in the thing that they want, then you have an opportunity to move up and make it measurable. Measuring what you do, giving the numbers, giving the dollars that you saved or the dollars that you brought in, because frankly, if you saved the money, you made the money. If you can talk to them in the language that they speak, which is, and this men and women in the thing, I think Karen and I had this discussion last time, where she's been in a position of having to turn down women for positions because they just weren't ready to go there. They hadn't positioned themselves, and they couldn't say why they needed to be the person that was hired. So, and then of course, visibility is key. And I think that was the topic for today, too, was visibility. So those would be the things to do. Negotiation, those skills are critical. And I am just of the opinion that negotiation isn't just a salary conversation. Negotiation is a life skill. And we do it every day.
Good. Do you think that there's some pushback when they can't seem to find that voice, even though they have all these available? Do you encourage them to take themselves where they are valued and encourage them to market themselves to other places and not stay put, because that familiarity and that safety can be another blockage?
Yeah. Here's my complete and total philosophy on self-advocacy. Nobody cares about your career like you do. Not another person on this earth. And so they are not going to step up and make sure you get where you're going or where you want to go, because it's not on their radar. It's not even on their burner, on their stove. It's on the burner of a stranger's house 20 miles away, and it's on the back burner. So what you have to do is bring your thing to the front burner and turn the heat up and let them know that it is there and available.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that,
Thank
Sharee.
you.
I hope that answers your question, Danielle.
Thanks for asking, Danielle.
I see. I'm gonna get to you, Tony. I think Karen has her hand up. Her question is geared around what you are speaking on. So go ahead, Karen.
Okay.
Hello, my friend.
Yes. Hello. And as a leader, this is what I see a lot of, and it kind of breaks my heart. If you look at the job descriptions, when we're talking about negotiation in a position, when you look at a job description, like I have a person that is my assistant, and the job description is so vague, it's so gray. It says the regular skill set, but in addition to that, it says job duties as needed.
Other duties as assigned. Right?
So what happens is, if you're a leader and you have a person that is great and does all these things, and they don't know to negotiate for, hey, I'm doing this, and this, they could be taken advantage of. I always encourage staff, anyone that's on my team, I want your success is my success. I want you to be the best you can be of what you want to be. So if you want to go into leadership, if you want to, because I'm going to retire again, and I say, I want you to be able to take my position, because they're already doing the job, right? But so many times with these job descriptions, they say just job duties as needed. So you could have a person potentially doing a CEO position or doing the CNO position because they're already doing the job, but they're not getting the recognition for it. They're not getting the pay for it. So either they have to have a voice and negotiate for a position, or like Danielle said, if they're not going to be valued, I would think they would need to go to another company so that they can get the value, because they just have a very vague job description. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree. There is not a company that is going to be loyal to you or appreciate your loyalty to it. It's a company. It is not a person. It cannot have loyalty.
Right.
And companies like to talk about themselves as though they are a family and they're going to be loyal to you and that sort of
that's
thing.
what my job says. My job says when you come to work, I don't want to say the name of the company, but they'll say, "We are a family. Welcome to the family." I'm like, right. But I say it
no, you are not my family.
Hey, listen, ladies, listen to me. I hear you and I feel you, but doesn't some of this stuff happen to men? What you're explaining?
That's not what her platform is. I got
that. I got that. I'm just sitting here saying, well, you crying about some stuff that's happening to us.
You guys have had it for years. Let us have our moment.
Go ahead, have your moment.
Okay.
Well, and Floyd, for real,
yes,
there are people who are introverts.
Yes,
and they feel like promoting themselves is bragging or making them seem greedy or is somehow wrong. What they're not seeing is that those people who are getting ahead are the people who are promoting themselves. And you can do it in a way that's comfortable for your personality and for your characteristic. You don't have to suddenly become a big extrovert and go out hobnobbing, at everything. But you do have to network. So you have to learn ways to network as an introvert that will help you meet the people that you need to know in order to get ahead. It doesn't matter who you are. It's just that this is my tribe.
Yes, and I respect that, and I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. Like I said, when you first came on here, I was like, another one of these women advocates.
I know,
but yeah, I've totally changed my whole perspective of that, because I never heard that what your target is, and I looked at it and I said, wow, that's deep, because I do know that there are women that are in positions that cannot go any higher, even though that the one that's in the highest position is not qualified to be there, as much as this woman has worked her way there.
Are holding that person up.
I got you. Yeah. I got you on that. I'm with you. I feel that you are totally, absolutely correct. This, and I had to be careful, because I can go to a lot of different places and say, well, what about this one? And what about that one? But as Karen just brought up and said, that's not your platform. Your platform is these people that I see and I just said, forgive me, because I just said it's purpose. Your purpose is to help these people. They need help for real. And this is not something that has just started. Right. This has been going on.
Story.
And it'll continue to go on if no one addresses it or brings it to the forefront. So yes, I agree with you.
This has to do with not just men, but different ethnic groups, different religions, different cultures. It has to do with all manner of people where bias exist, and age is a huge one in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I see two more hands up. Tony Curtis, TC, come on. Hey, there
Tony.
you are. There you are. What's up, Tony?
Hello.
Always good to see you.
Always good to be seen. Okay, so my industry is changing, right? So our advocacy initiatives have begun to give momentum to insurance payments. And unfortunately, there's been a fast track of training to make enough workforce available. And for those of us that have had a career doing this, we've been able to create careers.
Yes.
And so now we have organizations, hospitals, all of that coming in and redoing the position and undercutting them in pay. And they're so excited to be working that our advocacy initiative, it's like we have all this momentum to finally get them paid with them not realizing their value or their worth. What would you say to that, or how to motivate or change the system as we're trying to get them to not completely derail what was built, as well as not realize that they're reducing their own value?
Systemic change requires a whole lot of research and a whole lot of education. When we were working with the Medicaid waiver in Oklahoma, the group that eventually hired me did so because they needed basically an editor, writer for the material that they were trying to get out to the legislature. And the legislature was apparently not paying any attention to them. And they finally said to me in my interview, "Oh, Sharee, we've written a 75-page white paper for them, and we got nothing back from that." And I said, "You didn't give them a one sheet with bullets on it, you know." These are legislators. They're not researchers. They don't want to read all the little details of. And one of the sentences in that 75-page white paper was 3 pages long. It was written by a person with a doctorate, and so they had all of the words and that sort of thing, but they never put a period anywhere. There's a bunch of semicolons and colons and dashes, and well, I said, no, this alone could be 1 page of bullets, but you have to make it clear to people your message, the thing. You have to tell them the thing and not tell them a bunch of willy-nilly things that will not help them to clarify in their mind what it is you want. So for changing of the system, it's public education, and it's all the research you need to back that up. You need those numbers and statistics and that sort of thing. Otherwise, they're not going to listen to you. I don't think really Floyd, until he heard the statistics that I gave, was thinking that this was anything to talk about. But when I said to him that the companies that have at least 30% of women in their executive ranks make 12 times or 12 times more likely to rank in the top 20% of financial performance than anybody else, it was like, oh yes, I get it.
Right.
Yeah, am I lying, Cloyd?
No, that's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. Yeah, that's correct.
So is that answering your question, Tony, or am I off on a tangent?
Oh no, it did. But the statistic that actually stands to what's happening now, they're not going to want to hear because it makes them accountable.
Right. Right. Okay.
Right.
So you have to come up with some strategic way to word that thing so that they come to that conclusion themselves.
Right. We're working on that. But it's kind of hard when it was a legislative move to remove it because then it's I got to be accountable, right? And then it's the
Right.
undereducation of the new workforce that doesn't understand the historical context to even be able to stand up for themselves.
Right. And you just can't say, okay, everybody out there, we want you to watch Called Midwives.
So
Right.
let me ask this question, because I'm sitting there saying, well, Tony, you're saying that the new era work, they don't know their worth. They so happy to have a job. Okay, beautiful. Ooh, I got a job. Whatever they pay, they'll ask, what is the pay? Whatever it is. So they won't even ask. So wait till they get their pay.
They'll
And say, oh,
accept it because it's more than they could make having a job at their skill level.
okay, that's good. But now, with what Sharee's talking about, what she's talking about, and what she's advocating, how will it ever change? If this force is working against this force and not together, or you can't get some of these people to see. Listen, we need more Let Your Voice Be Heard talk radio, because we need more people to hear this stuff, because how else are we gonna fix this? Because it's been going on for years and it don't look like it's getting better.
So one of the things is that she talks about the statistics, right? So they do a manipulation with the statistics. They'll say Black women are 3 times more likely to die in childbirth, right? When the statistic is they're 5 times more likely, because white women by themselves are 2 times more likely to die in childbirth than other first world countries. So they say it in a way that makes you go, oh, this is a minority issue. No, everybody is suffering. And so doulas have the statistic of being able to increase vaginal delivery, satisfaction, more safe, more breastfeeding initiation, overall improvement of health. So let's create the program where we'll fund it, but now we're going to take the trainings and regulate it by bodies that caused the maternal health crisis in the first place and removed Black midwifery in this country, period.
Okay. That's that. Now you broke that down real good. You broke it down. That's real good. Now that's good. That's real good. I'm still trying to figure out what Sharee, her platform here tonight is these women, mid-career women in corporate positions that are working, have worked their way to a certain level, right? And even if a man in that company has worked to that same level, you can look, if you say, well, he gets paid more, or he doesn't get paid more. However, there's different perks for him than it is for her. There's a difference in everything. How do we change that? How do we get people, women, to understand this is happening to them? Because Karen just explained that, even her as a woman in leadership, that she will say, well, you know what? This job is a woman. We got supposed to hire a woman for. A woman is applying for this job and she is qualified. However, she can't lift them boxes over there, so I can't hire her. Because that's part of the job description. So a woman can't do certain things. So she can't go but so high in doing certain things. How do we change that? How do we even chip away at it a little bit?
You just said it. There's nothing a woman can't do.
You
used the word can't. And the only can't that exists is a mentality that limits what you're willing to do. It's not a can or can't. It's a mindset. However, the things that women can do that men can't is what they're being measured by.
Okay.
That's restricting their movement.
Okay. You're correct. You are correct. I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm saying this, Sharee. I'm saying this, Sharee, because this is your target. How this exists? What you're talking about is real. It exists.
Yes.
How do we attack that? Because I'm in. I'm in. How do we attack
I know
that?
you are.
How do we get at that? Because we have to get the word out. Where do we start?
The issue of starting as a whole is that you can't just throw it all out there and expect it to stick. If I throw out my work with the mid-career women, that is not necessarily going to stick with Tony's doulas not recognizing their value. I can talk about women need to recognize their value. I can talk about it and talk about it. It needs to be talked about. But how do they recognize their value? It's different for different industries, different women.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I continue to work with individuals so that I can help them to develop particular strategies for themselves to make them better self advocates, better negotiators for themselves, better aware of their value for themselves until that message expands to the generalities that are necessary for it to be a giant message to the world at large.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be heard as well until there are women that are in the position, making the moves and doing what
That's
they
right.
need to do. You can actually hear it now if you listen to the women who are the CEOs and that sort of thing and how they got there and what they did to get there. You can hear it.
Each one teach one, each one reach one.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I see Leah Amore. I see your hand up.
Hi, Leah. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you. I've been enjoying the convo. I was thinking a little bit about self advocacy, what you were saying earlier, and how do you go from being an assistant to, I don't know, maybe asking for equity or something? Because I know I've been assisting CEOs for maybe like 5 years or so, and it's different things that they have me do. But I am known as the like idea person or the networking person. And sometimes I'm very certain that they're using my ideas and getting the bottom line done. And I'm not seeing anything. So I'm like, how do I go from, I don't know if I, like, as far as advocating for myself, I've tried it, but it's still kind of like, they take it as their idea, because it's a good idea. But I'm just like, okay, well, it was my idea, but I'm not the CEO, so.
A couple of things. Wow. One, those administrative assistants are often the people who are actually running the company so that the figurehead can go out there and do what they do in public. So there is value in that, making them able to be out there doing what they do. Another thing, do you participate in the meetings?
It depends, because when I was in a startup, yes, I did have to participate in the meetings. But it's kind of funny because even after leaving the company, the CEO would still like share things with me and ask me, "Oh, if you're going to this event anyway, can you get an email for me?" Like that, like favors. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't even work for you anymore. Like, what am I getting out of this?
Okay. document, document, document. This is not a conversation anymore unless it is by text or email. Okay? Just stop that chit-chatting for fun and grin. It's a text or it's an email so that you have your information and you keep records of what you do for the company. Then you take what you do for the company and you can talk to at least the three people directly in line over you. Those three people need to hear from you regularly what it is that you have done. I did this. Joe and I were talking the other day, and he asked about this, and I suggested that. And it appears to me that you all are doing something about that. How can I help? Those sorts of things are the things that are going to have you be seen, have them understand what it is that you're doing, and help you to position yourself for a little growth. If any of you want to put your email in the chat, I have a free resource that is called the Invisible Woman Fix. And it will give you 5 steps that you can do to help bring yourself in front of people. And one of the things in that is actually speaking up in meetings. Make sure that within the first 15 minutes of a meeting, you say something that is of value to that meeting. And the first couple of times that's going to feel real uncomfortable. But if you frame it in a way that you are saying, when I worked for XYZ, I suggested they do this, and this was the result, the measurable result. They want to hear where was the money in this? Where did it land? Money-wise, make me money, save me money. What was it? Get me better ratings, customer satisfaction ratings, those sorts of things. When they can see those improvements measured in numbers, they will be able to hear you. And that's both men and women. When you get up there at a high level, details are no longer really your thing. You need the big picture. So you want to just give them the small, skinny that shows how it was measurable. And I believe that if we did this and that to sort of build something that we can replicate in our company, we can probably generate similar numbers. Mm-hmm. Now they're listening to you. Now they're hearing you. If you do that a few times, pretty soon, it won't be just the person that you are assisting who comes to ask you for things. It will be other people asking you for your opinions and your recommendations and your networking contacts and that sort of thing.
Listen. Man, this is again, I'm getting all kind of therapy here tonight. This has been awesome, man. This has been awesome. Let me say that Sharee will be here. I think we have a few more shows. We have a couple more shows.
Yeah.
She'll be here for the next couple of Fridays at 8:00. Sharee will be on here. So if you have man, ladies, I see you ladies have a lot of questions, and this is valuable stuff, not just to you, but to all of us. And there's a lot of stuff in here. I see everybody's put in their email addresses. So you got Sharee, you got a lot of work. Let your voice be heard.
Yes, Cloyd, when we are done with this,
yes.
Do you get the chat?
Yes,
Can you send me the chat so I can have all of the email addresses?
Yes, ma'am. I will definitely do that. Before we go, I want to say we have a lot of let your voice be heard superstars on this platform right now. There's stars on here for Let Your Voice Be Heard. One of them is Cody Arvison, and she says if she's a life coach, and she says if you don't put it in writing, your work record and ideas don't exist. Absolutely, Sharee is 100% telling you this is important. She has job hack.
I learned that in the nursing home. Yes. Working in the medical field, and then there are several people in the medical field here. If it isn't charted, it didn't happen. Never happened.
Wow. So this is valuable stuff. This is really stuff that I'm sitting there. I'm like, wow, this is, and like I said, and Sharee knows when I first met her, she was telling me a story. I was like, well, okay, well, what's this going to do to you? Another one of these women rights groups or something, but it's much, much more than that. It's much more than that, and this is touching more than just women. This has to do with as Tony Curtis says, this has to do with everyone. With everyone, this touches everybody, and this is very important. I want to thank my panel tonight. Let Your Voice Be Heard panel. You guys are awesome. I love all of you. Sharee, you are now officially family. We will be seeing a lot more of you, and we love you, and we thank you for being here with us, and we can't wait and looking forward to next week. This your boy now.
Step in, lean in, mic on, and begin. Been quiet too long, chewed up tongue. Turn down songs, clock keeps ticking on the wall. But your name's still missing from the roll call. Let your voice be heard, say every single word. From the low notes to the sky, throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard, loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you. A truth tucked deep in your chest, heartbeat tapping out, say it, confess. Crowd might stare, let them do what they do. They never held a fire living in you. Let your voice be heard, say every single word. From the low notes to the sky, throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard, loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you. Dream out loud. Stand up, you're the leader of this crowd. One spark, one shout. Watch the silence melt. That power in your mouth is the truest thing you felt. Oh, let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you. Yeah, that's you. That's you. Go. Step in, lean in, mic off. Never again.
It's your boy now.
Recording stopped.